And also, news fans, as very few people actually know, there have been huge protests going on in Bulgaria for almost 2 weeks now. A man, Dalian Pivsky, I assume that's how it's pronounced, a media mogul and politician who was appointed the chief of Bulgaria's state agency for national security. A media mogul guy was given that position. Now, this position was given very, very quietly. It was snuck through practically in the middle of the night. There wasn't really much in the way of a debate. This guy was basically fast-tracked through the process to get to this position. Now, massive protests broke out because of this. And within 24 hours, the Prime Minister, Orsharsky, I believe that's how it's pronounced, redacted the appointment and removed the man from the position. So these protests actually had a huge effect and were done. They achieved something within 24 hours, which is actually fairly remarkable. Now, this Pivsky, the guy who was given the job, has known documented connections to organized crime within the country, or at least crime in general, what they call criminal businessmen. Now, the people in Bulgaria are not just protesting because of this appointment. Now, this appears much like the protests in Turkey actually began over this one issue, but because of the social tensions that already exist, because of the problems ongoing in the country, it exploded into something much larger. Because of what's been going on in Bulgaria, the massive amounts of corruption, for example, many people find it actually hard to tell the difference from where, organized crime ends and the government begins. I mean, it's not like the way we understand the criminality of government and that they are just criminals with the things that they do. Their problem is they can't differentiate between where organized crime organizations and the government begins. So sometimes this really is the case because they are so intertwined with the same people. It's not like, what we have with George Bush, Donald Rumsfeld, essentially selling out the country to war interests. It's similar but different kind of situation. It's a little bit more complicated for them because it's like criminal organizations almost become the same as the government. And some of the people, they have a hard time telling where organized crime ends and actual government bureaucracy begins. But we can see what's going on here. The profit motive, less legitimate business, which means not state-sanctioned business, is getting involved in the government for their own profit motive. I mean, this is the same all across all capitalism. Big business gets a hold of the government and runs it. I mean, this is bourgeois democracy. It's just in this case with Bulgaria, what's happening is non-state sanctioned business is starting to take control of the government as opposed to the regular ruling class that does. And there's a contradiction there as well. So this is a lot like Turkey, where the people rebel over one particular issue, but the larger social issues that remain continue to fuel these protests. And they have been going on for about 2 weeks now. Now, what's interesting about this is that the world media is just completely looking the other way. People aren't talking about this. The media is not reporting this, and it's been focusing its cameras in other places, particularly Paula Deen. So I think it's important to get this out there and let people know that these protests of Turkey, Brazil, and other places, they're starting to happen in Europe too. I mean, it's not just the usual. This is what's happening in Greece. This is what's happening in Spain and in France. But this is where these things have been going on for a while now. This is now starting to break out into the Eastern European countries as well.